All right, welcome everyone. It's Petri. Thanks so much for coming by again on another video. We're doing an extreme beginners video. So this is kind of like for the newbies that are coming into watercolor. You want to learn all the techniques, the methods. You want to kind of see how watercolor works and how you can apply that to your practice and your methods and techniques going forward in watercolor. No problem. Here we have it. We're going to show you how you're going to create this beautiful winter scene. And of course, if it's hot out right now and you're feeling the heat, it's summertime. It's getting to be summertime anyway, where I live. So if you're getting, for me, I'm getting a little bit warm now. Everything's heating up and I'm saying to myself, how can I stay cool? Well, let's think cool. Let's think snow. We're going to do this beautiful snow scene. I'm going to show you how to do everything. The snow field obviously works on its own. It's going to be white paper. You don't even have to do anything with that. The white paper stays as is. We're going to show you how to create a beautiful, soft, beautiful blue sky here. We're going to show you how to do a beautiful, soft, diffused, distant, middle distance trees and forest here behind this gorgeous barn. And then we're going to show you how to do the barn, how to draw the barn, how to get the exact lines you need to create this beautiful barn, the angles, everything. We're going to show you that. And then we're going to show you how all the washes and the paints and watercolor work together to create a beautiful painting just on its own. You don't have to do very much. You'll just see how in this video how we're going to add some light washes to the watercolor paper, dampen the paper, get the watercolors working onto the paper, and you'll see how everything all flows together beautifully. And you can create this scene within a half an hour and you'll be done. You'll have a beautiful painting within a half an hour to an hour in your own studio, in your own place where you work, and you'll be thrilled with the results. And we're going to show you also, too, how to just make sure you have everything laid out so it fits within a nice exact size for a frame. So if it comes out really good, you're going to put it in a frame and put a mat in a frame with it to maybe put it in a show, hang it up on the wall, give it as a gift, whatever you want to do. But as a watercolor artist, you're always thinking you're thinking ahead of things a little bit. So that's how we're going to do things here. We're going to think ahead a little bit, show you how to create this whole painting, and also to think ahead as far as maybe if you're going to want to give this as a gift, if you're going to want to put this in a show, local gallery, maybe you're going to gift it to a local art organization for some charities, whatever it is you want to do with your painting and your watercolors, that's up to you. But I'm just going to show you here how you can get this gorgeous painting done quickly, efficiently, all right here. So let's get started in just about 5 seconds. All right, we just saw the finished painting. So we're doing a nice cool snow scene. We're doing like a small barn, kind of like house barn type situation. We're just having a fun time here. This is more like a composition. We're not trying to do a beautiful finished painting. Maybe it'll turn out to be a beautiful finished painting. We don't know. As watercolor artists, we always realize that when we're painting compositions and paintings, anything can happen, right? So if you're just starting out, especially in watercolor, anything can happen with watercolor. You might be doing a great job, and next thing you know, you put a couple washes on and it goes like crazy, and we have some problems, and all kinds of unpleasantness happens on your paper. That's no problem. You always take your paper and you put it to the side and you start another one. That's what we always say in watercolor. If your painting goes bad, take the paper, put it to the side, start a new one, start a new painting. Don't sit there and suffer over trying to fix something. Especially watercolors. It's hard to fix watercolors. I always suggest if you have a painting that goes bad, just keep working it through to the final completion and then set it aside. Who knows, maybe like in a week or two you'll look at it and go, yeah, it didn't turn out too bad. But always the case with watercolor, finish it out, finish the painting. Even if you see it's kind of going bad in the middle of the painting or, halfway through you're seeing that there's some problems, don't worry about it. It's all about practicing your techniques over and over and over again. Get your techniques down, your methods down. And again, if it goes, awry, no big deal. Just keep finishing out your painting, get it done, and then just set it aside and then get a new sheet of paper, put it down, and try something else. Try something new. Take a break for a couple of weeks. Take breaks once in a while. Take a month off and just watch videos or something like that. Watch YouTube videos here on my channel. Watch my videos. Go back in the archives. I've got hundreds of videos. You can go back and learn all kinds of interesting stuff on palettes and brushes and splashing and all kinds of different things like that. You just type in my name, Chris Petri, palettes, Chris Petri, splashing technique, Chris Petri, paints, colors, Chris Petri, seascapes, Chris Petri, landscapes. I always created my videos on YouTube here just as a little bit of an offshoot here as we're getting started. I just always have my name in my title of my video so that whenever you want to learn anything about watercolor, about any specific type of, seascapes, landscapes, cityscapes, figure painting, you just type in my name, Chris Petri, and then you type in your search term, Chris Petri portraits, Chris Petri landscapes, Chris Petri seascapes. And that's why I always put my name in my titles of my videos so that you can easily look up anything I've done over the last 5 years and you'll see all of my prior work in my archives. I have hundreds of archives videos, some of them going back 3 and 4 years ago. The quality isn't as good. I've upgraded my cameras, my video cameras. I've upgraded my lighting. I've upgraded my microphones and my sound. So I'm always trying to improve on my videos, making better videos, having them look better with better light, better sound, better microphones, better video cameras. I just bought a couple years ago a brand new Canon video camera, an 80D, 80D camera. Works phenomenal here in the studio. And I, have all these interesting things. Maybe if you're interested, leave a message in the comments section. Chris, I'd like to see some videos on how to start my own YouTube video process. Maybe you want to start making videos yourself of watercolors. Maybe you've been here watching me for 3-4 years and you're really getting good with watercolors and you want to create your own videos and go on YouTube. I can make a video like that if you want. You just have to let me know. So if you let me know in the comments section what you want to see on my channel, I can make it happen for you, okay? So let's get on to the video here with what we're doing here, which is a beautiful kind of like winter scene, snow, maybe like a farmhouse. Let's get started. So the first thing I do is I'm just going to make sure I get I just want to make sure I get my rectangle here all set up. So I'm going to make sure. Okay, so I'm pretty good. I can go right down to the bottom here. And I go right up to the top like this. I'm going right around my tape. I've taped off my watercolor paper. Like that. I've taped off my watercolor paper. But the first thing that I always mention, if you can, is take a pre-cut mat. Just like this. This is a pre-cut mat. You can get it in any store. Your big box stores like AC Moore, Blix, Michaels, any kind of big box stores, art stores, hobby stores. You can get these online on Amazon. Pre-cut watercolor mats. And you just make sure that your painting is going to fit within this border of your pre-cut mat. So this way you can take your painting, if it comes out really good, put a mat over it, and then put it in a frame. And you can sell it. You can give it as a gift. You can put it up on your own wall, in your house, whatever it is. But it's always better to do it this way than just create some kind of random size watercolor painting. And then the next thing you know, you can't really make it work with finding a mat for it and a frame for it. So if you want to mat or frame your paintings, try to always make sure that it fits within a standard size pre-cut mat. And you can get these pre-cut mats, again, anywhere in the big box stores out there where you live or online. And that's all you have to do is just buy the pre-cut watercolor mats. Make sure that when you're starting out, you have these in your studio and you just drop them onto your paper and say, okay, got to make sure when I'm taping off my watercolor paper or I'm drawing my rectangle for my painting that it's going to fit within this size right here, this window opening right here. And I can see that it will fit in there. So I'm putting my frame, yeah, perfect. Okay. Enough said with that. I'm always trying to kind of show everyone that is a real important part of watercolor, because if you're taking the time to create a beautiful painting in watercolor, might as well start right from the beginning, setting it all up so that if it does come out good, because you know how watercolor is, it could turn out good, it could turn out really bad. We don't know. As watercolors, I'm the same way too. I start out painting sometimes, I think, oh, it's going to go great. Next thing you know, wham, it's turning out terrible, and I'm throwing the painting to the side and starting another one. You're the same way too. You're starting out some paintings, they turn out really good in the beginning. Next thing you know, halfway through, something goes awful. No big deal. You just put it to the side. You start another one the next day or a week later, whatever it is. But the thing is, if you do start out the correct way, make sure your painting will fit inside of a pre-cut mat. And this just happens to be this size here. You can make your painting smaller, something like this. So you create your paintings whatever size you like to. You can work in a smaller format like this, or again, you can use larger mats like this. You purchase your mats, maybe purchase a number of them, different sizes, and then you just try different sizes as you go. All right, so let's get started here. I'm going to probably use my Golden Mean calipers. And the reason I use these is because you can get the perfect you can spin it around either way. These are Golden Mean calipers. You can find these online on Amazon. Basically, this is the golden ratio, the most pleasing ratio of things when you're dividing up your spaces within your painting. So if you're going to, have your sky, if you're going to have your sky and your land, so here's your land, here's your sky. If you land you put your distant hills here, bottom here, sky up here, so your sky is from here to here. If you use the golden ratio measuring tool, calipers, you could do it this way too. You can make your land higher up here and your sky smaller. But if you use this golden ratio, it tends to look the most pleasing, pleasant way you can create your paintings, and dividing your paintings into divisions of space is by using the golden mean. Same thing over here. If we're going to do, so we'll use this here, the golden mean calipers. So here we're going to say, let's do larger sky, or smaller sky. So I'll erase that. Let's do a smaller sky here. So we'll take our calipers and open them up. So we're going to make a smaller sky, which is right here. Okay. So this is going to be the distant mountains and hills, like that. Sky's going to be smaller. The land is going to be larger, like that. And we get that distance by using the golden ratio. And you're an extreme beginner right now. You're thinking, Chris, I don't know how this works. Trust me, this is the most valuable thing you can purchase for yourself, is a golden mean caliper. They come in all different types. You have wood, you have metal, you can find them. You can also look up online. You can do Google searches. You can use measurements by just using a regular ruler. So you don't even need to buy these calipers. You can just use a ruler to do your space divisions in a specific way. This just makes it easier. This is like the simple way to do it really fast, using the calipers. But you can do it measurement-wise. You can measure it according to the golden mean ratio measurements that you can use with inches, metric, whatever it is. Okay, I'm getting on off here on a little bit of a tangent, but this can really help your artwork look tremendously better if you're using the golden mean ratio. So just remember that. Take it for what it is. Make a little note for yourself. If you don't want to think about it too much, don't worry about it. Again, you can always come back to it, another time. But let's do this. We have our golden mean ratio, distant hills. This is the foreground. We're going to make snow here, the snowy foreground, and then some sky and trees in the background. And again, we're going to do a simple painting here. We're not going to go too much with incredible details. Then we're going to take our golden mean ratio calipers and we'll go here and we'll say, okay, so right here I'm going to make the cabin about here. So the center of the cabin is going to be here. Okay, so I'm going to make a cabin here. Simple farmhouse. This is like a farmhouse cabin, like that. Like this. And that's all we're going to worry about right now, is doing this beautiful cabin just like this. And then maybe we'll have a couple bits of fence here. I'll put some fencing there. Maybe some fencing here a little bit, like that. And I think the rest we're just going to let the watercolor do its thing. And I've meant this video to be more quick and simple because I want everyone to realize that when you're painting watercolor, you can have a real fun time creating your watercolors and not make it tremendously complex. So that's why I'm doing this video, to kind of do a less complex type painting. We're going to use our Extreme Beginners palette, which is the Prang Oval 16 palette. I always try to let everyone know what I'm using here. This is a Prang Oval 16 palette, semi-moist watercolors. These are not the top quality watercolors paints, but these are paints that are going to be user-friendly. So if you're just starting out, your first, couple weeks, your first couple months, maybe your first year, this is all you would need to start. And it's so simple. All you have to do is you open up your palette like this. You take a spritzer bottle like this with water and you just spritz your paints a little bit like this, and you're ready to paint. And that's it. And then when you're done painting, you can just leave it like this. And the next time you come back to paint again, maybe in a week or a couple days, couple hours, or maybe a month from now, all you have to do is the same thing. Spritz the paint, you're ready to paint again. When you start working with fancy squeezed tube paints that come in the tubes like this, so when you have fancy tube and expensive tube paints like this, that's more difficult. It's more challenging to work with those type of paints. But when you're finished working with these and you've kind of already been working for 6 months to a year, then you can step up and work with your tube paints eventually. But for this, if you're just starting out for your first couple months or your first year, this is plenty good enough. Use these paints and you'll be happy. You'll have a great time of it. Makes your life a lot easier. All right, so now everything is all set here. We have our glass here with our water. We have a sponge to take water off our brush. Check water off on the brush. Here are my Extreme Beginner brushes. I use a lot of flat brushes and round brushes that are synthetic. And so you'll see that I use Simply Simmons round brush. I use the Princeton Art and Brush Company flat brushes and round brushes that come with the set. So these are the brushes that I use, Simply Simmons Art and Brush Company. You can find these online. You can get a 6-pack of different brushes, some flat brushes like this, flat brushes, and some round brushes. This brush comes with the set, so you get a free brush with your Prang Oval 16 set, which is fantastic. You get a nice round brush with your set when you buy this. So if you're just starting out, you can just buy this Prang Oval 16 set, and then you have a brush with it, and you're all set, and then all you need to buy is some paper. You're ready to start painting. Okay, so let's get started here. We just showed you the quick little sketch here with the cabin, or the farmhouse. How did I get this farmhouse? I'll take a sketch paper just to kind of go over one more time how I did this. So for my farmhouse, I just basically did a roof like this, which is a parallelogram. Basically, it's a rectangle, but then I just take the two rectangle lines and make them like this. And then you can kind of see how that works if you take some white out. So that's all. You draw a rectangle and then you draw two angles at the same. These angles are the same like this. But essentially it is the rectangle, which is here. You just take those, you remove those, and you keep an angle the same angle like this, like that, and this. That gives you your rooftop there. Once you have that rooftop, you're going to go with another angle the same, going the other direction, so this way and then this way. This one here goes down a little further than here. You want to go a little further down on this one, and then you just draw up two plumb lines like that. And then another straight plumb line here, which is a perfectly vertical line. So you have three perfectly vertical lines, 1, 2, and 3. You start out with a rectangle and you make the angles like this, both the same angle, like this, 1, 2. Then you take another angle over here for this side of the roof. You're just doing the opposite angle like this, and you make this one a little further down because as it goes into the distance this way, it's going to be further down from over here. And that pretty much gives you your farmhouse. And that's how we did it. Just a simplified version. All right, so now let's start painting, and this is the fun part. I'm going to use a flat brush here, which is our Princeton Art and Brush Company, synthetic flat brush. Let's get our colors first mixed on the paper, and then we'll go from there. So we don't want to just go with one color mixed here and then start working over here. We want to, you'll hear me say this all the time. I'm sure you've heard me say this many times. Let's mix our colors first over here on our palette. Get them all of our colors that we're going to need for our composition or our painting over here in the palette. Then, from that point, you have all your colors mixed, you're all ready to go, and then when you start painting, you have everything all set here, and you can just start working your colors and put them into the painting. Does that make sense? Okay, let's do it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to paint this alla prima all at one time, so we're not going to do a glazing technique. We're going to do the alla prima technique, and what I'll do is I will add some fresh, clean water. So if you can see here, I have the distant hill over here, which is snow. Snow's all here and over here. And then up here is all the trees and so forth, just so we have an idea of what we're doing. So I'm just going to wet the paper up top here where the trees are. So I take some fresh, clean, beautiful, crystal clear water, and I just put it up here on the paper, and I'm going to go right up to the top, all the way up to the top of the paper. We'll put some sky color in there too, some blue. Okay, if you go over the line a little bit, blot up your water. If your water goes down over that line, you want to make sure that line stays dry. All right, now we're going to say, let's mix our colors. Brown, green, 2 greens, warm and cool greens, orange, a little bit of orange in there too, brown, yellow, brown, a little bit of red, orange. How does that look? I'm not sure how this is going to look, but we're going to try it anyway. Sky color. Blue. It's kind of like a cerulean blue there. Okay. Look at that. You just put the color on the watercolor paper. Look how good that looks. And as I say, let the watercolor paper and water do its own thing. You don't have to do a whole lot. Put some color on there and let it just flow around. Look how good that looks. Okay, that's the upper sky, and then we're going to start getting in some greens here, like this. And again, we're letting the watercolor paints and water do the magic. The less you do, the better off you are. Don't try to be too clever and try to overwork and think that you're going to be smarter than watercolor is. You're not going to be smarter than watercolor. Watercolor is smarter and better than any of us. So there we go. You can see how I'm letting the water and the paint do the work. I went over the line there a little bit, so I just blot up like that. Like so. Okay, we're doing snow, so this is all going to stay here, the snow color. And then we're going to do some gold color here, some gold and orange for the building, for the Okay, let that all melt together right here through there. Let that melt all together. I think you're seeing right now how you can have the watercolor paint and the washes do all the work for you. You don't have to do a lot of work with watercolor. You can let the water and the paint do the work for you, and it looks better that way. The less you manipulate things with your paintbrush and you just let the watercolor do its own thing, you're going to see it's going to look really good. So already we've seen, look how good it looks so far. Then we're going to take just a touch of blue, maybe. Maybe I'll empty my water. It's getting kind of murky looking. See how that kind of looks like green and, you know, muddy looking? Let's get fresh water. Reason I say that is we're going to do some purple shadows on the roof of this building and some blue. Let's make sure we have fresh, clean water because it's going to be a light wash. So we're going to do some blue and some purple, like that. Okay, see how I did that? A little bit of purple and blue. Then I blot up a little bit of water and paint like that, just to, like so. And let's put a little bit of purple up here and over here. The only thing is if you go back in here, you got to make sure you're very careful because all right, that looks pretty good. And again, you can see how I'm not overworking things. I'm letting the watercolor work for me. Blue and brown, if you want to get a little darker tonal values here and there. So you add a little bit of blue and brown for some lighter or some darker tonal values along this area here, which might be some trees and bushes along the foreground here, and then in the back, behind that, you'll see the lighter tonal values. So here we're working everything at the same time. Look how good that looks. And again, you're not overworking things. You're letting the watercolor do the work for you. I'll use a little bit of my watercolor brush and my tissue to blot up a little bit of paint. If you see any puddles developing, puddles of water, just gently tap it up with a little bit of tissue. All right, so we are doing fantastic, and we're almost, at this point, we're almost completed with this painting because all this is going to be this snow color. All right, my extreme beginner students here, my friends, we're kind of finishing up here. We really are seeing how simple watercolor can be if we're just using the fundamentals of watercolor, the methods and the techniques in watercolor as we know them. And here on my channel, I'm always kind of trying to cover the basic minimum methods and techniques in watercolor so that you can have more of a focus on the things that are going to go a long way with your paintings. To me, the main thing I think with watercolor is if you're just starting out, and welcome too, if this is your first time here, thanks so much for coming by. I'm really happy that you're coming by to my channel. I hope you're going to subscribe on the right-hand side below. There's a subscribe button there. I'm hoping you're going to subscribe, and there's many people that have already subscribed to my channel that are here for many years already, and we have fun in the comments section. Many people leave great comments in the comments section about how their paintings are going and what they're learning, and they give little tidbits of information themselves of what they're learning and things that they do that work really well. So you can learn a lot by going into the comments section of my videos each time when you're coming and watching the videos here on my channel. But if you subscribe on the right-hand side below, that's the most important thing. You'll stay with me. You'll stick with me here, and we're working all the time, every week, week after week, month after month, and year after year. We're constantly creating watercolor paintings. on this channel, whether we're doing full paintings like this or we're doing small technique-y type paintings, so you can geek out on all the coolest techniques and things like that, where you're not doing a full painting, but you're just practicing smaller parts of what will be a full painting once you're, ready to start doing more larger paintings and things like that. So I'm always kind of sharing with everyone here on my channel. Practice all the things that we do here on my channel. Try to take some notes down here and there, and you will do fine. You'll create beautiful watercolors, and each time you come here and watch a new video, you're going to learn something new, and that's going to be something you're going to carry forward into your paintings, and your paintings are going to look better and better each month that you work, and then year after year. Your paintings are going to get better and better when you're here with us on my channel working, doing our watercolor tutorials here. So we're in the middle of this painting, and actually we're close to finishing it up right now. We kind of said here really the main thrust of this video, and correct me if I'm wrong, am I correct in saying this is what the main thrust was? Let the watercolor do the work for you, the washes and the paint, let it do the work. We pre-wet the paper up here over the top, and we just did a simple drawing of a barn here in this field, a barn. We did the simple drawing here maybe you're just, somehow you just landed on my channel and you're in the middle of it here and you're not sure what we were doing. We kind of showed you how you're going to draw your simple barn, which we have right here. And then from here, we are actually, right after we have the barn drawn in with pencil. We're using some simple mechanical pencil. You can use also a office pencil if you have, whatever you have. As far as the pencil goes, you're just doing a pencil drawing. Then what we did is we pre-wet the paper up here on the top. We pre-wet the paper and we added in our sky wash, and then we started adding in our trees in the middle distance here. So you have the sky wash, then you have the middle distance here, which are the trees along the field. We have a snowy field here. This is all snow. A nice cool feeling here. This is if you're in the hot summertime and you want to cool down here. You're going to cool down with some snowy type scenes, right? You want to have some cool ideas in your mind of snow when it's really hot out. So that's what I'm doing now too. It's pretty hot where I am right now. It's hot in my studio too with the lights on and everything and whatever. So let's see here. So we got the snow, which is just the white paper. We don't have to do anything with the white paper. We've added in our washes. We added in the washes of our barn. And now we're ready to finish up. So let's do that. So I'm going to use, to finish up, I'll use my Prang Oval 16 watercolor brush here. And also my Simply Simmons number 9 round brush too. I use 2 round brushes here. So we'll use the Simply Simmons, which comes with the set. This set here, the Simply Simmons Oval 16 semi-moist watercolor paint set. Perfect set for the beginner for your first 3 months to a year or even more. And then you have another brush here, the Simply Simmons, and also I guess the brush here that comes with the set. So let's do this. Before we do anything, I'm going to take my pencil. And I'm just going to make sure, I want to add a shadow under here on the eaves of this roof. So I'm going to capture back the eaves of the roof over here, which I have with a pencil line, just so I make sure I'm doing a good job with the eaves of my roof here. Once I have that, I'll take my Prang Oval 16 watercolor brush and I'll rinse it off, check off a little bit of water on the sponge, and I'll go over to my palette and I'll say, let's do some shadow. So we got purple and some brown. Purple and brown is perfect for some shadow color. I dry off a little bit of the water and paint on this here, the sponge, and I just want to make a shadow there for underneath the eaves like that. Now, I'm going to take my pencil again. I'm going to say, let's draw maybe a couple, maybe like a door or two, maybe a couple windows in this barn. Maybe we don't want to leave the barn just plain looking like this. Let's add some stuff to it. So let's say to ourselves, let's make a barn door over here. I'm just going to make one single door over here. That should be good. And I'll take that purple and brown that we mixed and just do that. Does that not look great? Look how great that looks. Just that little bit of detail looks really fantastic. Then let's say to ourselves, well, let's make a couple windows in our barn. Well, why not? So we'll use our golden mean calipers, and maybe we'll make the windows, we'll align them with these calipers. So we'll make our windows here, center, center, and center of window there. We'll make the windows the same height as the door, like that. So we're going to make the windows the same height as the door over here, and we use our golden mean calipers to get the marks for where the center of the windows are. Perfect. Then we'll come over again. We use our Prang Oval 16 brush. Same thing, purple and brown for our. If you want, you could say, you know what? Let's use a flat brush. This might be too big. See how large that is? That's too big. Let's see if I can find something in my studio here quickly without you getting mad that I'm leaving here and I'm not continuing my painting. I think I can find something. Okay, I did find something here. This is a little bit smaller. Okay, so this is a flat brush that's quite, you can see how thin that is? That's perfect for these windows. Let's use this. So I'm going to do that. And we're going to do this. Woof. Look how good that looks. Whew. And wham! Look how good that looks. 3 windows over here. Excellent. Look how good that looks. 3 windows, and then maybe we'll take a little bit of blue, a little bit of a darker blue and brown. We'll try to make them a little darker up top. There we go. See how more exciting that looks? Adding in some windows. And I think maybe we'll add one more window up here, which might be for the loft. So let's add one more window for the loft up here. Like that. Okay, and then we'll use the same brush again. So sometimes you're going to have to try to make do with what you have with your brushes, but I think this small flat brush here really works great. You can even take a touch of black right at the tops of the windows and that door. And you'll even see how that adds more excitement, and that darker dark looks even better. So if you can get that darker dark in there with that touch of black paint, just a tiny bit, as you saw here, just a tiny bit of that, really looks good. Then I rinse off my brush and I get some more purple and brown, and I think I'm just going to do a quick little shadow under here, underneath the eaves of this roof here. And we have the shadow there too. And maybe a touch of black there too. And already, I think this looks even better. We've kicked it up a notch by adding in some windows, some shadows. We've also added in some gorgeous darks with some tiny bit of black wash here. Dry off your brush and just get a little bit of dark here. Like that. And I tend to blot up a little bit too with a tissue. So if you have to use a tissue once in a while to help you blot up a little bit of color and some whatever you're working on, that's always to help to make things look a little better. So there we have it. And I think all we need now is a round brush. We'll use the Prang Oval 16 round brush that came with our set. And we're just going to do some we'll do some of these fence posts. Okay, quickly. I'm not taking a lot of time with this. You can kind of see. I'm just doing some. Same thing over here. A couple of fence posts and rails. If you want to add a little bit of shadow, add some black to that. Dry off the brush a little bit on a tissue because you don't want to go too much. And you can add a little bit of shadow behind these if you want, if you think that'll look good. Maybe a little bit of shadow underneath the rails here. All right, so I think that is perfect. We have a completed painting right here. Only thing left you want to do is sign your painting. So you have your pencils, find yourself a pencil or a pen, whatever you like to do as far as signing your paintings. I like to sign mine with pencil, so I'm going to get my pencil here, my retractable pencil. And I'll put my signature here, Chris Petri. I'll put the date on it, 2023. And there we have it. You can even move everything out of the way. And then take a... And there you have it. A beautiful feeling of snow, tons of snow along the grounds here in the foreground, middle distance. Some beautiful middle distance trees and the sky, a nice little blue sky with maybe a little bit of clouds in there. And you have yourself a gorgeous winter scene like this. I'm hoping you're going to try this painting. Try it a number of times. If it doesn't work the first time, again, I always mention this, try your painting a number of times, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or even 5 times to try to get it the way you think it looks pretty good. If it's looking pretty good when you're done, and you're happy with the results, and that means, okay, you've got a good painting there. You can set that aside. You can put it in a frame. You can put a mat over the top of it and put it in a frame, hang it up, give it as a gift. Maybe put it for sale, put it into a show, maybe somewhere in your local area. You're going to start getting out there and putting some of your paintings into shows. Whatever you want to do, it's all up to you. You're the watercolor artist. You can decide whatever you want to do with your paintings. You're free to do that. But what I say is, if it looks good, definitely put it in a frame. Put a mat around it and put it in a frame. And you can always, again, give it as a gift to someone, put it for sale, put it in a show, just put it up on the wall. Or if you don't want to bother with the matting and framing it, you could just always take this and pin it up on the wall, pin it up on the refrigerator, put it in a folder even if if you want to. You have a couple folders set aside near your workstation where you work. Put it in there, say, all right, I've got a beautiful winter scene with a barn under my belt. It's done. It looks good. Now going forward, if you want to do another winter scene, you have this one to kind of go back and look at and say, oh yeah, I remember when I did this, and I remember what I did with the washes and the colors and the whole process of how we created this. And then you'll have that as a kind of like a format going forward to do another painting for yourself. So I'm so thankful you're here painting along with me. We're going to do more paintings like this, where we're going to really key in on how fun the watercolor medium really is, how everything just develops beautifully on its own. If you're just letting the watercolor washes and the paint and the washes and the water work together, harmoniously together on your paper, you'll see that it really does develop on its own and look absolutely beautiful. Better even than overworking it and trying to kind of muscle through it and, you know, do things like that. Watercolor actually does a great job on its own if you just let it do what it wants to do. All right, so thank you again for coming by, watching on my channel. Please subscribe on the right-hand side below if you haven't subscribed. And if you're new here, you definitely want to subscribe, because this way you can keep in contact with all of us here as we're painting and going forward. And everyone wants to create better, more beautiful watercolor paintings. I'm sure you have that same idea in your mind. You want better paintings. You want to learn more techniques, more skills with watercolor. I'm here every week, every month, and even year after year. I'm here on YouTube to kind of show you all the basic fundamentals and methods and techniques in watercolor. So stick close here. Have fun with watercolor. Enjoy the journey, and we'll see you on the next video before you know it.